Hello, Internet. It's Tuesday night, time for Scuba and The Ry, and tonight we're going to be hanging out with Dave from Realsmith and Mythroll Armory, or Mythroll Armory, then Realsmith. Which is the right order again?
Yeah, it was Realsmith first.
Realsmith first? There we go.
Yeah.
So, and of course, my co-host Ry is also here. Ry, how you doing, buddy?
I am good. I am from a remote location, taken hostage by Kirby and a Packers pillow. So
I've got nothing for that. I really don't.
his mouth's wide open. I don't know what he's intending to do. So
I don't know. Did you see those pillows from last year, Dave? They made a Kirby pillow that you could use in your office. It's just like the from the game. You can just kind of stick your head in and take a nap at your desk. It's really wild.
Oh, that's great. No, I didn't see that, but that's great. Can you fit in that guy? Right?
Yeah.
You can get your head in there.
yeah, I probably can. You know, he's a troublemaker at night. So
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, so tonight we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna hang out with Dave and we're gonna talk all kinds of gaming and kickstarting and all these crazy wild things you guys have been up to.
Chad pointed something out in the chat. He said
What's
our
that?
volumes are low.
Volumes are low. I can. We'll see how that goes now.
All right.
Probably Kirby's fault, sucking out all the air. You know.
Yeah. It's all that acoustical cushioning behind you.
See how it works. All right, it looks like everything else is good as far as volumes.
Boom.
Nice. Borderline the echo part, but yeah. So first, typically we talk about what's up, what we've been doing, all that kinds of crazy things. Let's start with Dave. Dave, what you been up to with the start of the year and all this crazy shenanigan?
Well, it's been a really, really busy year for me. I started doing Mythroll full time as of the fall last year, and it's just been a bit of a trip. Trying to take care of all of the fulfillment, because we did two Kickstarters right at the end of last year that we're trying to deliver in time for Christmas. And so it's just this massive push to try to get everything done and warehouse and out, and then dealing with customer service issues, and then trying to launch another project for January. So it's been a bit wild.
Sounds like it.
And I got married in November.
Oh yes, congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, so it has been a very, very interesting, atypical start of the year for me.
That's awesome. And again, congrats on getting married.
Yeah, thank you.
Seen Mrs. Buckayao in the chat a couple of times. She's been
Yeah.
welcomed with open arms from the community, I dare say.
Yeah. She went from I don't know, Muskoka's girlfriend to Buckayao's wife, like in the chat, I think, just from 1 month to the next.
Trying to troubleshoot that. Ry, what have you been up to, my man?
What I have been up to, it's another week, another training week for me over at my job at Optima. So learning new things. Got my books ordered for my class. That begins tomorrow night. I will be so got those two books on on the Prime drive. So they'll drop tomorrow, hopefully. Wink, cross my fingers. But I'm looking forward to this class. I've checked out the syllabus. It's going to be very in-depth. Like I told you off air, I'll be able to do some kind of field work because the class is about teaching composition 6 through 12. So they're going to have us actually grade and help tutor people from English
110 series
10 at the college. So looking forward to that. Getting some experience. Even though I'm a trainer by trade, this is a whole going back to grad school is to move one up in the world into my passion and eventually get to my ultimate goal, head of an English department somewhere down the road. But Other than that, just a lot of because class is about to start it in, I'm trying to cram in as many shows as I can stream in a matter of hours. So I have been trying to blaze through the final season of Vikings, blaze through Bridgerton with my girlfriend, blaze through a ton of other shows I can't even name because it's such a list. Because I have all the streaming services under the radar. Watch movies, playing games, playing Cyberpunk without the glitches. Guess I'm one of the few that haven't had those crazy glitches on the Xbox. But other than that, nothing else going on. Just kind of relaxing, getting ready to lose
a bunch of sleep
and be exhausted at the end of the week again. School and work. Oh yeah, it's not even by choice anymore. It's by demand. So.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's going back to school is always a exciting thing.
Oh yeah.
I guess I'm last. Okay. What have I been doing? D&D, and more D&D, and that seems to be my life. Shadow Watch had their first episode of the new year, and I thoroughly tortured them completely, apparently. So they had fun. They to fill you in, they were in the Underdark and had to deal with a cavern full of giant spiders and driders when we left off at the end of the year. So this session was mainly finishing that fight. That was the entire session. All 3 hours was finishing that fight. And I had them in a position where they couldn't use their major things. Like I have a paladin. He's really good at smites. Well, if the creatures are up in the walls and the ceilings, you're not in melee. So that shut him down. And then my rogue, he got poisoned because he failed the Constitution save. So he had the poison condition, which pretty much shut down his sneak attack. It felt good, but it was one of those things. My wife got her technology package in. She's gonna be doing some tax prep stuff again this year. And so the company sent her this big old box. So she's been working on cleaning out her craft room so she can put all her stuff in there and get that all set up. So helping with that and just kind of sorting through. I've been getting prepped up to do crafting. I think I'm going to start doing some war table terrain. I've got some buildings I want to build for some Warhammer games. Now that I've got all these armies to play with, I need to get some more stuff on my table. But that's been that and a lot of work on the website. I have been pumping out content on my website, trying to figure out how to get the blogs format going, get all the podcast stuff up, get through my Trello board, because I've got a lot more things in the completed column, which feels good. Now it's like, oh, I have also got all these videos I haven't edited yet. Kind of bad, but get there. That's kind of what I've been up to. So more of the usual, more of the same. So yeah, so let's talk about Mythroll Armory. What is Mythroll Armory? Where did that whole thing come from, Dave?
Oh, well, where it came from, it's an interesting story to share. So Joel and I, people think that we've known each other forever because we're just good buds, and I don't know, we're good buds. But we only knew each other for about 2 years since now. We've only known each other about 2 years. We met through Realsmith, started playing together. I think we were in Jay's garage at that point. We're out of the backyard into the garage and doing our very first streams. And that was kind of where Joel and I met.
That was Sentinels of the Storm stuff, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, way back then. Yeah, and Joel and I had a full-time job at a not-for-profit, and Joel was doing some consulting there. And then I left that job, and I was doing consulting at another non-profit that he was at, and so we kind of worked together a bit. And then at the company where I was consulting, and he was working full-time. Well, that's kind of where we got inspired for the spinners.
Okay.
We saw a similar sort of product there, but not with a totally different purpose. And we thought this would be amazing. It's like an alternative D20. And we thought some people are going to hate this, and some people are gonna love it. And we're like, that's exactly where we want to sit. Is it in this line where, you know, you got a whole bunch of people that love it and people that hate it. Because if you don't have people that hate your product, you're not doing anything new. You haven't invented anything. You're not pushing the boundaries unless somebody dislikes your product.
That's interesting.
So
I haven't heard about it in that kind of context before.
That is a different way to look at it.
Yeah, now that I'm reevaluating some products, like, yeah, there are people who really loathe certain things, but man, they do really well.
Yeah, and you know what? The people that hate stuff, they love hating things.
Yes.
So, you know, if you want to talk bad about our product, please do. Yeah, like, please make a whole episode, fill our feed with negative comments, so we can reply to them and say these are actually the benefits that are, you know, that you're overlooking. And we're happy to do that. I never hide comments on our ads or on our posts. We don't hide stuff. We don't delete stuff. I just reply to people because they're welcome to hate my stuff. We've got enough fans that I'm not worried.
But yeah, definitely have a fan base. I mean, the first product, if I remember right, was the spinners, right? Yeah,
that was the very first product. And we made the 1020 and then the 46, 8, 12. They're not very catchy names. In fact, even we don't even really have a name for the product itself. Like, we call them the spinners, like, just because they spin. Some people call them myth-rollers or dice spinners. Like, people just came up with names for but we never really applied a name ourselves. So
it's kind of one of those things you kind of want to see what the organic name is and be like, yep, that works. Let's go with that.
Yeah. And we have since then, we've been working on some prototypes for a new version. We kind of addressed all of the concerns that people had. I actually posted some video on our Instagram channel, where the bearings are actually not just loose in the track anymore. They actually orbit on a pole inside of the track, so there's no way they're going to come out.
Oh, that's good.
And then deeper inside the base is like a fidget spinner bearing. So it's very smooth. It's really solid. It's way better. We addressed all the concerns. The problem actually that we had at that point was that they spun too well. The guy that made our first prototype, after we sent him the specs, he's like, watch this, and he spins it and he turns on the clock on his phone, and it's like over 30 seconds just spin. It's like, okay,
I could see that being a little problematic in a game.
yeah So we had to modify it, but the really cool thing is we're going to be able to I don't know if I should share this. I gotta share it anyways. We're going to be able to release them in an array of colors. They look amazing. Like in a candy red and like a burnt orange, and a really bright white. Like we have a few. We don't have all of them. I think we're probably going to run another Kickstarter early summer with the chromatic series of spinners, and they're going to be pretty nice.
Definitely going to keep an eye out for that. I was curious. I'm curious about the getting a set of the spinners. I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, well, I hate to tell people not to get it, but if you wait, if you wait a few months, the new version is going to be amazing. And I'm thinking that we're probably going to drop the price on the existing ones quite a bit, and then put out some new ones. So, again, I don't want to say don't buy them, but
there are better ones on the horizon.
The new ones are coming, and they're really, really good.
Nice. So after that, we had the 1020, which has got, I've got to be honest with you, it's got to be the most gimmicky thing I've ever seen
Thank you.
to date, but it is really cool, just this whole concept, because there's that whole market of, oh, let's get a little credit card type piece we could put in our wallet, and when we
Yeah.
pull it out, it's either like a survival kit or these crazy things. You guys are like, hey, we're all geeks. What is something we need? A D20 to roll initiative on this situation. I don't have
Yeah,
one.
you know,
Great. Pop, pop,
the
pop, pop, pop.
yeah, the 1020 uh, is not going to be your main D20. It's just not. Um, Realistically, you're I don't know, the likelihood of you taking it out because you really have to play D&D is small. You're taking it out because it's cool and you want to show somebody, like, look what I got in my pocket, and showing them just folded up is cool too.
Yeah.
But then when you can actually put it together and play with it, it kind of works on multiple levels. One, it's cool in your wallet. Two, it's cool when you fold it together and use it as a dice. And three, it is just it is a metal puzzle, and metal puzzles are a very popular thing right now.
Oh, yeah, they are.
This is a metal puzzle that fits in with the D&D world. So,
And it's actually a simple metal puzzle, because some of those ones, like for the Star Wars stuff, those are
Oh my gosh.
insanely complicated.
I got it when we were doing some research. We actually did some research on metal puzzles after we designed the 1020.
Oh,
And
really?
I got this like dragon. I'm like, I'm gonna make this awesome dragon, and it took me like 3 days to build the spine, and then I gave up. Like, this is crazy. I don't have patience for this.
That is wild.
Yeah, but along that line, I'll say that probably in about I think we're aiming for about 2 months from now, that we're going to release the full set of dice. So it'll be 2 or 3 cards that are a bit larger in a pouch that won't fit in your wallet. It'll be 2 or 3 cards in a package, and it'll have all the dice, including extra D6s. And we're working on a process right now to color laser print on the metal.
Oh, wow.
So you could end up with some really. So that's another thing that's coming out in the next few months.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna be cool too.
And just walking through the Kickstarters for anybody who sees this who isn't familiar with you guys, there was the ornaments.
Yeah, the ornaments were well, we don't know. We might do it again next year. I don't know. They were kind of like a fun project to just design some kooky Christmas characters.
Now, are you going to license your characters from Realsmith as ornaments? Because I hate to say it, but I have a feeling a few of those characters on a couple of those streams might do really well as ornaments for some of the fans.
Yeah. Falfer could, I'm sure he'd love to just be at the top of somebody's tree as the angel. Well, I did talk to Jay a bit about that. It's something that could happen. I mean, that was not this was not a Kickstarter that was really designed to make money for us. This was a Kickstarter to like just do something fun that we knew largely our fan base would want, and that's what we did. and we took actually a chunk of the profits from it and used it to buy toys to donate to kids.
That's awesome.
You know, for us, it was just a fun little year-end Christmas thing. Maybe next year, maybe it'll end up being some Realmsmith characters. We'll have to see.
Could see.
Yeah.
And then we have. I'm saving 2 of them for a little later, but the next one has got to be the metal, the new dice, the Stoneheart dice. What is up with that idea?
The Stoneheart series started off. We originally called them the Charisma series. We were going to make a series of dice based on every sort of core skill set. We did design a bunch of them, but once we got to the Charisma set, which became the Stoneheart set, we thought this on its own is probably enough. so it's been quite an interesting process working with goldsmiths and silversmiths, and finding stone or gem cutters that work with different gems, and we just wanted to make something that stood out. The spinners stand out at somebody's table. The tin 20s stands out. Everything that we've done is kind of different. So we made a die that you're never going to take this die out and somebody's going to say, yeah, well, look at my D20. It's never going to happen. They're going to tuck their dice away and be like, oh, okay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the goal, just because we see the gold one every Monday on Realsmith when you get a natural 20, which is a great graphic. I'm actually kind of jelly about the graphic, but how much is that gold one again?
So we're still trying to nail down prices.
Okay. Don't want to put you in a corner, but well, I don't imagine that's cheap.
No, it's not. We're looking at 3 different metal types. So we're probably going to do brass, silver, and gold. We were originally going to do bronze, silver, and gold, but bronze is it's a very finicky metal, and we have to mold it in 2 halves and then kind of stitch it together, like they laser weld it together.
Oh wow!
But the bronze kind of pops and explodes as you do that, and it doesn't work well. So so we've got to cast it in 2 halves, put the stone in the center, and then close it and solder it back together. Now, so we have so we're going to do the brass, silver, and gold, and we're doing onyx, ruby, and diamonds. And we're probably going to do lab-grown stones as the default, and make mined stones available for people that do want them. And the reason we're going with lab-grown, as far as the stone goes, they're chemically, physically identical or better than mined stones. They're a pure version of the stone. They're less expensive. They're kinder on the earth. They're kinder on people. So it's just a kind of a more ethical way to go as well. So that's why we're planning to make those the standard. But for those that really insist on a mined stone, we'll have that available. So depending on whether you go with a brass with onyx, I think that would end up being the cheapest combination, or a gold with diamond, you're probably looking anywhere from $350 to $7,500. There's gonna be a price range. Not everybody's gonna get the gold and diamond one, but we have a silver and onyx. Like it's actually on my table right there, but it looks amazing. Like the silver and onyx, it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with the silver and onyx. There's nothing wrong with it.
I'm sold on the silver part. I've never been much for gold, but I'm all about the silver and and the onyx. That just sounds like a great combination. But I'm actually kind of curious if, say, in a year from now we go, hey, what was the most popular one of the whole line?
Oh, yeah, I think silver and onyx is going to end up being the most popular. It's the middle of the road price. The contrast is really nice. When the silver gets a little bit of a patina on it, like we actually cause it to tarnish a little bit, and then polish out the numbers, which make them stand out a lot better.
That just sounds really awesome. It's really cool.
It just looks it looks amazing. And we have been taking reservations, so you can kind of reserve your spot in line just for $1. You just send us $1 and fill out the form at stoneheart.ca, and you'll in the order that people submit their name, that's the order we'll fulfill once they back. And as of right now, we have around 80 names that have paid the reservation for their spot in line. So we're expecting some good things for this Kickstarter as well.
From what I know, we got 3 more Kickstarters that I'm aware of. We have the Doodle Dice, the Puzzle Box, and of course the latest one being the magnetic tiles, or what's the new name now?
Yeah. Oh gosh, okay. So we've actually done this twice now. Doodle Dice is a product by another company.
Oh, really?
Where you don't doodle on dice. Yeah, so we had to change it to sketch dice. We actually polled the backers at the time and said, what do you guys want to call this? and so we had to change it to sketch dice.
Yep, I
That
have
was
my
fine.
set
We
here
got
that
a
you
little
sent
letter
me.
from a lawyer saying, yeah. So we got a letter from a lawyer through LinkedIn. He just said, "Hey, terribly sorry, but that's our name, so no problem." We'll go ahead and change that. And then the same thing happened again with the with magnet tiles, and we had just called it magnet tiles, all one word. And then the company Magna Dash Tiles said, that's kind of a little too close to our name, and we thought, yeah, kind of sounds exactly like your name when you say it out loud. So we had to change it. We had to be much quicker with this one. So we changed all the branding within a few hours, new URLs, new everything. I'm not in love with the name Tile Formers. That might change when we go to retail, but that's what it is for now.
It works. I'm really kind of excited. I was checking out the Kickstarter on that to kind of and look at backing it myself. I just haven't pulled the trigger on that because obviously as a terrain kind of D&D and doing terrain, that kind of a tile system seems like it's another great entry, and it's a unique thing because I see a lot of people make terrain using rare earth magnets. So this is a nice thing, nice kind of bit with that. Did get a question in from the chat. Concerning the sketch dice, do you think it'll be possible to order the dice without the markers for anybody who already has markers, or is that kind of a package deal?
Yeah, it's on the website. You can go on the site now and buy the blank dice.
Alrighty, so yeah.
Yeah, and they're actually I would say that they're super cheap. We're selling them for $8 for I think it's like $8 for a set. Like it's really low because they are intended to be add-ons. But I mean I found blank dice elsewhere. I did look around for them when we were doing this product, and I found somebody selling them for like $3 per die. I was like, that's crazy. Like $21 for a set. I mean, they're just geometric shapes. They're just resin shapes. There's no design on them. There's no imprinting or carving or paint. There's no color.
I mean,
why
you
are
could
you
probably get
charging
an
so much?
STL file or something for a resin printer and whatnot too.
Yeah. I mean, so we're like, we're not gonna charge like some outrageous amount for these blank dice. You wanna just buy the dice, to go for it. So I think they're like $8 or $9 on the site, mythrolarmory.com.
And of course the puzzle box, which is the really cool tabletop thing for DMs to add, actual puzzles, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Especially I've got mine. I haven't done an unboxing or to do a review on it, which I'm going to do, but I'm also going to give that one away to my patrons via Patreon. So, but
Awesome.
that was the one I'm most excited about, and yeah. I just can't wait to crack that open and see what crazy concoctions you guys came up with for these puzzles.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We worked closely with Brandon Perkins, who plays Snow on the current stream with Realsmith, and has done DMing with Realsmith before. We worked with him to kind of develop the narrative, and collaborated on how do you use the puzzles and how do they fit into a storyline. And we didn't want to tell people, here's your puzzle, here's how you use it. We wanted to say, here's the puzzle, here's how you solve it, here's how you could use it, and here's how you adapt it into your own story. Because we don't want to have a thing where you use it once, only in our storyline, and then you can't use it again. We wanted to make sure we gave value by telling you ways that you could incorporate it again in a new storyline. And so the largest thing that's in there is this big 3-wheel decoder that has letters and numbers and words, and you can use that to convert phrases into map coordinates, or a word into a numeric string, like all sorts of directions. It's really, really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to be thank you for that idea. I imagine a few parties are going to hate me now.
Oh, it's so much fun. And the thing is, you can have your party find pieces as they go, right? You don't need to say, here's a decoder, figure out the puzzle. You can have them just find a wheel, and then if in another city they find another wheel, and another city they find another wheel, then they find the base, and then they find clues, and they have to put it together, like to say, oh, these clues can be deciphered using this this decoder. We also have a rune-based puzzle. So there's kind of a legend on one paper, and then a phrase written out on another. And again, you can use that rune puzzle and make your own sentences. You can make your own clues using it. We didn't want it to be like a one and done thing. We wanted it to be reusable.
Oh, goody. Yeah, I'm loving this more and more, and I hadn't even cracked it open. I've been waiting for this chance to have a chat before I cracked mine open. Now I'm definitely gonna get that review video done to see how it works.
Excited.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. It's great. That's one of the things I love about having those kind of physical props on a table. Granted, it sucks we can't have everybody around the table, but having those props is great because that the whole thing with the immersion and that kind of thing. But
yeah, and actually, sorry, that's another thing we should mention, or I should mention, is that throughout the first book, so we have two books. We designed an entire continent, and the goal was to unlock each part of the continent. We only unlocked two of them, so there's two books. There's the main book and then a complementary book. In the main book are Sirenscape cues, so you can actually go and get the sound sets that work with the puzzles and play the cues that we created to go with the puzzles. I think it's a pretty cool thing. This was the hardest one to do. There were pieces coming from so many different manufacturers that we had to work with, including just making the boxes and the foam insert inside the box and all the printing. There's so much printing. It was a challenge for sure, this box.
So how's that whole thing with Kickstarter? I mean, you guys have done number of projects now. I know there's more on the way, but how's that whole experience been with trying to, do you put the Kickstarter up and then try to source everything, or is you try to source or what's kind of that order of operations for anybody who wants to get something up on Kickstarter?
Yeah, if you want to get something up, we're totally happy to help you, by the way. Like I love I have an entrepreneur nature to me. I love to see people succeed as well. I don't think it's like me versus anybody. I think there's plenty to go around, and I'm happy to help anybody launch their thing if they want help. What we do, or what I tend to take care of this part, is I will figure out how much it's going to cost. Like that is step number one, is sourcing everything. That's good. Well, it's not number one, but it's before we launch. I have to source everything, figure out the entire chain of how am I going to get it all together into a retail ready package, and how much is that going to cost. And then at that point, we'll put it up on Kickstarter and see if we can fund the mass production. For some of them, we did produce them ahead of time so that we could fulfill them quicker, but we can't do that for all of them.
I imagine that varies in terms of like, okay, you're gonna do another batch of 1020s versus another batch of puzzle boxes, obviously, or the ornaments. That's clearly a vast difference in sourcing and production cost.
Yeah, and so the spinners, the turnaround time was very quick for us to get to market. 1020s was pretty quick. The other ones was a much longer time. Like you think about the ornaments. We wanted to be ready to ship them at the beginning of November. We didn't make it, but to ship them beginning of November, that meant that we had to have everything sent to the actual metal company by the beginning of October. which means we had to have all of our samples done in September. So all of the artwork had to be done in whatever comes before September. Like when you start
August
counting
or
months
August. So
backwards,
your
yeah,
artwork, and yeah, I could see that.
so
You
it's
get any kind of roadblock in that, it's just gonna compound.
yeah. So even something as simple as the ornaments, it's the middle of summer, and we're starting to produce Christmas ornaments, so that people can get them in time for Christmas. Like it's a long process. The tiles we've been working on for I don't know 6 to 8 months probably, and we were going to delay it, and we thought no, we're good where we are. We're happy with what we have. We're going to release stretch goals with new tile styles and all that. So we decided to go ahead with it.
Right? Do you have anything? What do you think?
I was while y'all have been chit-chatting, and I've been was skimming your website, looking at all the different variety of dices and stuff. And it's truly amazing, being a creative spirit that I am, seeing somebody start something and watching it blossom into something is truly remarkable, and I give props to you. One thing I want to ask is, like, when you're going forward to deciding dice, where do you pull your inspiration from for some of the designs?
So I'll be totally transparent on most of our dice. The metallic dice that you see with gears, with the dragon dice, with the skull dice, they're not original designs by us.
Okay.
We added a collection of dice to the site because we had so many customers coming that we wanted to make sure we had something for everybody, whatever their interest was, and that's why we kind of added those. Now, if you again with the pricing, if you look at some of the prices that these dice, you can find these dice on other sites for crazy prices. Like it drives me crazy how much people get milked for dice. It drives me nuts because there are some. If you're looking at handmade resin dice by truly artisans, on Instagram, man, those things are worth a ton. Like they're one of a kind, handmade stuff by an individual. It's very different than a machine that's stamping out, thousands of dice a month. And I get that there's some creativity that goes into the design of those, but they don't need to go for the crazy prices that they do. If you're
I agree.
Even other companies will take the same dice that we have and put their logo on the 20 and say, hey, these are our dice. This is our design, and charge a crazy amount. And I just don't think that's I don't think that's a cool practice.
It doesn't.
No.
And my wife is a dice goblin. She admits it wholeheartedly. So I every time she's like, I want to buy dice, I start to cringe a little bit because I've seen some of those prices, especially because I typically buy dice from my local game shop. Or and then of course, like, there's subscription boxes for everything. There's a subscription box for dice, and she's gotten some cool dice out of it, but sometimes thinking about that cost is like, oh, that kind of makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're my advice would just be, if you're buying dice that are not like handmade by an artisan and you know it, shop around. Shop around, because you can probably find a better price for the same dice. Awesome. At least on our site.
Oh yeah, shameless plug. Go to Mythroll Armory.
Yeah.
MythrolArmory.ca or .com?
.com.
.com. Okay.
Yeah. So even one of the things was the wooden dice that we added. I thought these were going to be awesome. But they weren't. To be totally honest, they weren't. And what happened was, we bought wooden cases to go with them. I don't know if you might have seen this post on Instagram, and they wouldn't fit in the wooden cases. So now I'm trying to clear out the wooden dice that we have. So you can get,
Mhm.
I think I said 40% originally. They're actually 33% off, and if you buy two, you get free shipping. Shameless plug there.
It's
You
all good.
will,
Go for
but
it.
honestly, go and shop around for rosewood dice, and then go see how much I'm selling them for you. Again, it's crazy how much people charge. It's
It
crazy.
is. It truly is. It's just, and especially now because it's so popular to get into for doing the D&D and all of that. It's
Yeah.
so prevalent in culture right now. It's like, oh yeah, hey, I'm gonna strike while the iron's hot, and I'm just gonna charge money because a lot like that
Yeah.
.com boom. It's like once it peaks, it'll peak, and then everybody will be all scrambling to try and offload.
Yeah. Yeah. So sketch dice was one that we thought would kind of ruffle some feathers too, uh, because we wanted to say, anybody can design some cool dice, and you don't have to be messing with silicone molds and mixing resins and all that. And
And if you don't
no
like the
no
design,
offense to
wash
the
the
people
dice,
that
do
do
it
it.
again.
Yeah. Get some alcohol and wash away your pain. No,
Hey,
no,
I agree with that statement.
I can
Wash away
totally
your
see
pain.
that. Okay, I can
Yeah.
see that. People talk about dice jail. Hey, I made my D20. I followed the rubric for it. I rolled it. It keeps failing. You know what? I'm not going to put it in dice jail. I'm just going to erase it and put the 20 somewhere else on the die. Maybe it'll do better next time.
Yeah, that's funny. I think there's there's somebody from the Realmsmith fan base who bought some, and he's like, I'm going to put 20s on all the sides. Like they're going to notice.
A little bit.
Yeah. So we're again, like I have total respect for all the artisans that are making resin dice. That you can do stuff with resin that you're never going to do with a marker. With a paint pen, but on the other hand, you can do stuff with the sketch dice that you could never do with resin. So we actually sent a bunch of sketch dice to some people on Instagram who are dice makers that make them with resin, and we just sent them out to them and said, hey, tell us what you think. Like, I want to see what you could come up with on on a flat surface. So I'm really curious as to what these artisan dice makers are going to come up with for us.
I'm a little curious about that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we talked all this time about Mythroll. Let's take a couple of minutes to talk about, of course, the how we know each other, and that is through
Yeah.
Realmsmith. So talked a little bit. You started playing during Sentinels of the Storm, and of course, right now we're in Tides of Wildmount.
Yeah.
And all of that, you play Baka Yao, the Turtle Warlock
Wizard.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. The with the chronal ability, which
Dunamancy.
I've got to tell you, as a dungeon master, I am so trying to figure out a way to shut that skill down.
Yeah, well, it is limited. I mean, it's limited to 2 uses per long rest. And the challenge for me is to not do it on something stupid, because I'm so tempted to, like, I throw a rock at Plunk Rock and I miss his head, so I use it to hit him again. Like, I just want to avoid using it on stupid things, but I also want to make sure I use it. I don't want to go to a long rest having one of those slots left over.
That's fair. So, I mean, if you only have 2 slots per long rest, and I mean, you got to find a way to use it. And I have to say, if the way you used them last night was one of those, is why I have this, like, man, talk about it's like you're right there on the edge of everything going horribly wrong.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I'm going to make you re-roll that roll.
Yeah. So, well, I did actually. So I did fail. I forced the port caller to re-roll, and he still succeeded on one of the intimidation checks. I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was when you're trying to blackmail the port caller.
Yeah. Oh, and now that I have fast friends is amazing, and I love it for this character who has gone from having no friends to being able to make people his friends at will. It's so amazing. You know, if you, I think I've been fairly intentional about the character development with Bakaya. I have been. I was with Muskoka as well, but previous characters not really at all. Back went from being a prisoner to a wizard, saw some serious stuff, saw people tortured and killed and extorted and all this, where the wizard would do this to people he would call his friends. You know, he was still over them. He was more powerful than them, so he could do this to them, but he would still refer to them as, you know, his acquaintances at worst, maybe friends. So Bakayao's sense of what a friend is not, it's
A
not
little
great.
skewed at this point.
Yeah, and the thought of of a master servant relationship, and how does that work into friendship? Um, you know, that's one of the issues he has with Gaziel, is that Gaziel treats him like she's his master, but she's smaller and she's weaker, and she's supposed to be good, and like, you know, he's not gonna
That
really
explains a
let that
lot.
go.
That
Yeah,
really does explain a lot, because there've been a number. I tell you, there've been a number of questions like, what is up with this friction
yeah,
between Gaziel and Bakayao, or Bakayao and Plunk Rock, or just some of these things. And like
yeah,
going into the early part of the season with the whole bit with Yana, and it's like, I don't trust her. I don't trust
yeah.
her at all.
So with Yana, it's it wasn't to do with her being evil. We knew she was evil, and really Bakaya doesn't have a problem with that. What is, you know, what is good and what is evil. It's just
Relative.
a social concept. Yeah, and it is very relative. So he doesn't really care that Yana is evil. What he cares is that Yana has shown that she has no allegiance to anybody. She's not really allied to us. She said as much. That she was, you know, doing things because it would work out well for her. And we saw her go against the Plank King, and we saw that she would go against us. Like we saw these things. Well, back, yeah, I did anyways. Like it was more that she had no allegiance rather than she was just evil. I didn't know what was coming. I didn't know that she was actually going to, in the end, again, spoiler alert, if you're not
Yeah.
caught up to the season, I didn't know that she was going to actually really turn on the party. I didn't expect that. Um, but it was just the character. Just the character couldn't trust her because she had no allegiance.
Ryan,
So
what are your thoughts as a writer? I'm not quite as prolific at storytelling, but I'm getting better at it. What do you think about what are your thoughts on Dave's character development for Bakayao?
It's very interesting, and the interesting nature going on. It brings that suspense out really well. Like you never really know what's going to happen, and that's a great thing with, you know, writing a character. Try to keep it on the edge of, do you know, but you don't know.
So what are your motivate? What was some of the inspirations for Bakayao in terms of setting up this kind of path for him? There've been some tidbits. People are like, what is up with his backstory?
yeah,
What is up with that? And
yeah,
I'm gotta admit, I'm a little curious, because first season of Tides, Bakayao seems like this naive kid
yeah. This
who,
meek, and really, okay. So he really went from just being downtrodden, abused, beaten down, neglected. But he's not dumb. He watched the wizard. He learned from him. He saw how to handle himself around people. He had to survive traveling all the way from the Empire down to Palmaflora. Um, so he's not a dumb character. He's just trying to find where he fits in the hierarchy of the world, of the spectrum of good versus evil, of master versus servant, um, and the concept of friendship in all of that. I would dare to say that even in real life, uh, in friendships, there's often a dominant friend in any relationship that's just got a little bit more of an edge. or the other one, who might get away with poking the bear a little bit more, or getting favors or whatever. I would say that even in the real world, there's a little bit of that in a lot of relationships.
Yeah, that's the whole premise behind like the A type personality or the B type personality. You have those strong people in the group. Some would argue are
Yeah.
natural leaders, but on the other end, they could just be people. You know, you can't have one without the other. You can't. Somebody has to be willing to let the other person take the lead.
Yeah, yeah. So this is yeah. I mean, he was taken when he was very young, taken away from his family, from his home, and he was taken because of his orange coloring on his shell is atypical. It's not against the rules, but it's atypical for turtles. And so he was taken just as like a pet, as a collector's item, and then was kind of just used to do things just as a servant.
That doesn't seem surprising with
Eventually-
wizards being eccentric.
Yeah, and eventually he got away and made his way to the party, and that's when everybody kind of met him. So now he's like, I don't really need to take this anymore. I don't really need to do what you're saying. And now we're at the point we're at now. It's like, maybe you could even do what I say. So now, like, the characters has turned from "I will do everything you say because I have to" "I don't have a master" to maybe you could do favors for me.
That's interesting. And I have to give you credit. That's actually very subtle. Hearing you kind of express that and going through the season, now it's like I want to go back and try to find those subtle pivots, because now that with this new context, it actually starts to come clear. There's these moments you do kind of see that shift, and you're starting to see that. It's really fascinating. I really am curious to see what's going to happen as the season progresses, and then we have to totally shift gears and go back to Muskoka.
Who's also a bit of a downtrodden sort of character, right? I mean, he's quite different, has a very different background, but he's also trying to find his place in the party. He was allowed to die. I don't know if you want to talk about Muskoka, but he went through a big change after he died. And if you're dead in D&D, if you're dead, I think, what is it, 24 hours? Like, that's where you start rolling dice to see how screwed up are you when you come back.
Actually, that is actually at DM's discretion in the depending on how you do it. Like, if it's an optional rule, and again, it's Jason's table. Jason takes the rules. I'm just someone who kind of studies D&D as an academic at this point, because I have so much of it and I'm so interested, and there's all this discussion. The minute you die, the minute you get resurrected, you could have those kind of resurrection restrictions. It's all a matter of how it fits the story and what you want to go through. And I know that death of Muskoka was like one of those things that was like, wait, what? And then for us to come in there and be a part of that session, and I play Tamazar, who's a dwarf cleric, and he's just like this whole like, you're lucky we got some of these. Because it's like,
you saved him.
Yeah,
that was you.
And that which actually tied back to a community session we did, where they had to fight. We had several of these scrolls in a treasure hoard, because the creature we were fighting could literally kill you in one shot.
Yeah. So it's after that session. Actually, it was after the finale. I had a talk with Joel, and Joel was like, it feels too extreme. Like, you're like, why is he so different? And I said to him, like, I didn't go unconscious, I died. Like, the characters go unconscious every now and then. It's not abnormal. They get brought back to life, they're stabilized, they're okay. Let's have some rations and a long rest. But when they die, like that would change you. I think that would change you being dead. And Jay narrated um, how during that time that he was dead, he was having nightmares, what seemed like nightmares for an eternity. Like the time just kept going. So having woken up from that, then it's like, okay, so did I live through that and now I'm in the dream, or was that like, what was that? As a character trying to figure out, did I live this nightmare, or am I living this world? So the psychological effect on the character, um, I mean, he just doesn't want to go through that again. So the spirit of self-preservation is going to really drive him now, and say, you know what, I'm not supposed to be bait. Like, I'm supposed to be at the back of the party healing you guys.
Yeah, not the
And
other
you're
way
putting me
around.
out there. Yeah, and he was just being a good friend, and just being part of the team and going out and doing what he was told was his role. But he can't really do that anymore.
Definitely curious to see how that'll play into Muskoka going into next season of Mist.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, well, we're right here about at the hour mark. So real quick, do you have any questions for us? I mean, you see me in the chat every so often. You see me torture people. Yeah, I'll say torture people in the chat in the Discord, and I'm sure you've heard stories of the sessions I've run. So those kinds of things. And Ry is an
Yeah.
aspiring author, so he does bits and whatnot, and does the reviews for movies and stuff. But do you have anything you wanna poke and prod us about?
Honestly, I don't know why I say start with honestly, but we played together a session, 2 sessions,
Yes.
a year ago.
Yeah, almost a year ago. It was Pigeons of Zadash, which I still have the video files.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was a ton of fun.
I felt we had good chemistry. We had a lot of fun with that. So it's definitely one of my favorite games I've played in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I would love, I'd love to play again sometime if you're up for it. If you want to do like a one-off or whatever, I could probably drag in a couple of the guys, because yeah, I haven't been playing for that long. I think it's only been maybe 2.5 years. Like I started playing when Jay introduced me to it. I guess but I've known Jay for 20, 23, 24 years. Like I've known him a long time.
And he waited till 3 years ago to be like, "Hey Dave, come check out this game we play."
Yeah, we were just in my backyard, and he just fired up a session. Like, okay, so you're walking down this hill and you find a campfire. Like, we just did it. And after that little 20-minute session, I was hooked. Like, I gotta do this more.
That's awesome.
So if you're ever up for a one-off or like a mini series on the side, I'm happy to do that, because it'd be cool to.
I'm good with that. I've got my my Saturday stream is starting up this Saturday for Challenge Accepted, which started as a community thing. Then of course there's the Mod Squad game Saturday morning, and a couple of them are in the chat right now. Like, hey, you're welcome to come join us if you got a free Saturday morning. I mean, it's an open invitation for Brandon and Adam as well if they have free Saturday morning, but if not, I'm sure we could put something together. I'd like to do some more charity streams. Like, I'd really love to dive into some Shadowrun for a one-off, or just again doing a game for kicks. I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, well, love what you guys are doing, and love that you have your own stream going. Like I said, my perspective is there's so much room for everybody to do their thing and get their stuff out there, and I think it takes a common entrepreneurial spirit to do what you're doing, to just say, like, I can do this, I'm gonna do it. And I think there's a big chasm full of a lot of people, and on each side is the cliff of I could do it and I'm going to do it. So good on you for doing it.
Thank you.
Let me know how we can support you and get your name out too to our folks. I think we sent you a bunch of stuff to do giveaways and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, which
hope
I'm
that
going to
really helps
do.
things out.
I'm going to give away the sketch dice on the D&D streams, and I'm going to do a sketch dice giveaway here on YouTube. Obviously not
Cool.
this session, but the puzzle box I'm going to give away to my patrons, because I did the
Awesome.
shift from purely Twitch to I'm kind of branching over to Twitch and YouTube for streams. The D&D stuff I'm still working out because my D&D streams are very interactive. I call them the tricksters, where they can throw bits and whatnot and actually influence what happens in the game.
Nice.
The party, it's depending on who you speak to. The one thing everybody loves is throw wild magic, which if you're not familiar, on the sorcerer table, there's a D100. You roll it, and when you cast a spell, this other thing happens.
Ah.
One character seems to have all of these good things keep happening to him. We're waiting for when the penny drops and he gets a slew of the bad. But find a way to kind of help influencing, because I really like how Realsmith and you guys try to work on the whole interaction and immersement and interacting with the players. I remember those early streams. Hey, click this emoji for this person, this emoji for this other person, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I was looking at, let me try this whole thing for, it's like, hey, if you want to influence, you want to give the party a heal or a random item or, make things go horribly wrong, you can do that. And I think it kind of helps the way that whole kind of plays out, so to speak.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep you any later. I know you got stuff to do. This is pretty much going to wrap up our night. Thank you everyone in the chat for watching. Feel free to leave comments. If you got questions for Dave, leave them there. I'll make sure he gets them. And this element where we kind of unpack the character from Realmsmith, I like that. I think I need to try and get more of you guys on so we can unpack those characters and get some of that, hate to say it, kind of that talk show. I'm not going to say the name because we know the talk show we're thinking about, just to unpack some of these episodes a bit more. I know Joel does Player's Table and he does a great job with that, kind of going on those things, but I like diving into this more the psychological side, especially because it's like finding out some more about the character's backstory and then thinking back on those episodes like, oh, wait, I missed that. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I'm really trying to, like I said, I'm newer to the game, so I don't know all the nuances of the rules the same way. But I do want to develop an interesting character and put a lot of effort and thought into that.
I definitely say you're off to a great start with Muskoka and Buckoyao. So, Dave, thank you for joining us. The chat, everyone, thank you for joining us. Saturday morning, 10 a.m., Shadow Watch is gonna figure out where their missing gnomes are, and challenge accepted. Season 3 kicks off. I don't know what they're doing yet. I'm really thinking I'm just gonna pick a magazine from my stack here, and whatever adventures in that magazine is what we're gonna play. I really don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. And Ry, thank you, of course, for hanging out as always, my friend. Moderators, love you guys in the chat. You guys are awesome, right on point with those things. And with that, stay safe, love each other, and we'll see you on our next stream. Good night, everybody.
Peace.
And I have the right background.